Once Upon a Katamari is the first new Katamari game in 14 years, at least in the mainline franchise. The last mainline Katamari game that was released was 2011's Touch My Katamari, which was released for the PlayStation Vita. In 2018, the Katamari Damacy Reroll came out, which is a remaster of the first game, and in 2023, We Love Katamari Reroll came out, which is a remaster of the second game. Those two games originally released in '04 and '05, but now 20 years after the release of We Love Katamari and 14 years after the release of Touch My Katamari, and a couple of mobile games were released along the way, we finally have a new title, Once Upon a Katamari. I was absolutely jubilated when I heard the announcement that Once Upon a Katamari would be released in October of 2025, and thankfully, Once Upon a Katamari retains the usual Katamari charm, filled with joyous wonder and humor, and this game has so much personality, it's so full of life, and it really does make you wish you could roll on forever, which technically I guess you could do because this game has eternal levels. The main plot for this game involves the King of all Cosmos destroying the night sky, and you, the prince, having to go roll the Katamari around to restore the night sky. This time, they were cleaning the family castle, and the king discovers the Cosmos Scrolls. Naturally, he throws it into the air, and it destroys all the night sky. The sun, the moon, the stars, all gone. And so you, using the SS Prince, have to time travel to various different eras to roll up a bunch of items to restore the night sky and to seal the cosmic scroll, restoring order in the universe. You know, the usual Katamari Damacy stuff. The big draw to this game, of course, is the time traveling to different periods, whether you are in Edo period Japan, which is like samurai and stuff, at the American frontier, like the Wild West, the Jurassic era, Voyage at Sea, which is basically just pirates and stuff, ancient Greece, ancient Egypt, of course, my favorite, the Stone Age, Ice Age, and present day. Now, the time traveling mechanic I think is really interesting, and it's wonderful that this game has it. But at the same time, some of the areas, especially like modern day, just kind of feels wasted or underutilized, perhaps. When you go to modern day Japan, there are a total of 3 levels. One of the levels is Mecha Star Again 1, which is basically just the first level from Katamari Damacy, which I think is great. And then you have 2 levels, both of which involve food, and that's it. There's just 3 levels, and it really feels like you could have had 2 or 3 more from modern day Japan. And then you go to like ancient Greece and Egypt, and they both only have like 4 levels in total, and the levels are quite short. The big main world that this game has is Edo period Japan. That is a world that has, I think, 12 levels or something like that. There's 3 Eternals. The most cousins are in that one. So it seems like a bulk of the levels, a majority of the levels are in Edo, Japan, and then the other worlds only have about 3 or 4. So it gets to the point where some of them are kind of underutilized, but then again, when it comes to the Ice Age, there's only so many things you can do with that. I really do feel like, me personally, I would have had a couple of more levels in Egypt, maybe something where you roll the Katamari around the pyramid. I do think it's interesting that while you're in Egypt, when you roll up the Katamari, when you're trying to get the perfect size coffin or whatever, you actually do get to see bandages being wrapped around the Katamari, so essentially you're mummifying it, which I thought that was pretty interesting. But it does feel like some of the worlds just go a little underutilized. And yes, you do get to roll up Pharaoh Tutankhamun's mask in this game, so that's cool. My favorite level was the one where you have to roll up all the Greek philosophers, and you actually do see real-life quotes from the Greek philosophers, so you actually get to see Socrates in this game. Or, to quote Bill and Ted, Socrates. This game also introduces a new mechanic called freebies, which are basically just power-ups. You have the ability to turn into a magnet, where you can magnetize the Katamari, and then every item within a certain range, provided the Katamari is larger, will immediately be sucked into the Katamari. The magnet is definitely the most useful and the most powerful, and it certainly is pretty satisfying when you see a lot of very tiny items nearly increasing the size of the Katamari by half or a quarter or whatever it may be. I think it's really awesome to use the magnet. Of course, all the freebies are optional. You don't have to use them if you don't want to. Then you have the stopwatch, which allows you to stop time for about 10 seconds. I think that one's pretty decent. Whenever you're running low on time and you just want to try to increase the size as much as you can just freeze the time and roll around for 10 seconds. Then you have the jetpacks, which strap to the sides of the Katamari, and it gives you a big speed boost for about 10 seconds or so. Honestly, I found that one to be the least useful, simply just because you just sort of use it to get a speed boost. You really can't slow down when you use the jetpacks. But I didn't really use it that much. I didn't really find much of a use for it anyway. The magnet is definitely useful. And then there's the GPS, which you can only get after you've completed the level for the first time. The GPS tells you where all the cousins and the crowns are, as well as the royal presents, which is great. But once you collect that stuff, that power-up is completely useless. But the freebies are pretty interesting in this game. I think it's designed to sort of help aid new players or whatever it might be. But regardless, the magnet is fun to use. The other ones, yeah, they're alright. But I thought the freebie system was pretty interesting. As I mentioned earlier, they are optional, so you don't have to use them. And I do think that it does make this game quite easy. There's also a ranking system where you can get anywhere between a S to a D rank on any level. The S ranks in this game are actually fairly easy to get. It isn't much of a challenge whatsoever. I do think that this game is the easiest, but we'll get into that a bit later. Now, one thing I did notice about this game, especially something that really bothered me, the Katamari seems to get stuck on things very easily. This wasn't really a problem in Katamari Damacy or even We Love Katamari, but for some reason, specifically in this game, the Katamari seems to get stuck on anything. And you get to the point where your progress is completely halted because you got snagged on a tree. In Damacy or We Love, you would basically just be able to roll right past these things. You can't pick it up, obviously, because it's bigger than your Katamari, but you would simply just be able to roll past it. Not in this game. You have to back up and then roll it all the way around. And it really just seems like it kind of got annoying at times, because you would get the Katamari snagged on like a tree or like on a fence somewhere, when in previous games you would just roll over it. So I did notice that the Katamari seemed to get stuck quite easily in this game. And that's the only thing gameplay-wise that I had a big complaint about, was just, why is this Katamari getting so easily stuck on something it shouldn't be getting stuck on? Of course, this wouldn't be a Katamari game without really incredible music, and thankfully, Once Upon a Katamari does have some really incredible music. There were two songs in particular that stood out to me, Katamari Time and Katamari on the Dune, I think is what it's called, or how it's pronounced. Those two songs were probably my favorite. There's a lot of great songs in this game, though. There are no bad songs whatsoever. The songs have quite a lot of personality, and honestly, I think this is on par with the We Love Katamari soundtrack. I might even say this is a little slightly better than We Love Katamari in terms of just pure music. So obviously, the soundtrack's incredible, and you can go to a jukebox in the memorial section, and you can listen to the soundtrack basically whenever you want, especially aboard the SS Prince, so that's nice. Next up is the difficulty. As I mentioned earlier, this game's pretty easy. This is the easiest Katamari game by far. I never thought Damacy or We Love were difficult. I mean, We Love had like annoying campfire levels, but that was about it. But in this game, each level has a ranking system between S and D, and it's very lenient. Like, it's quite lenient. I think I only failed like one level in this game, and that was because I accidentally rolled the Katamari into water on the ancient Greece level of lighting the torch. But apart from that, I mean, this game's very straightforward. I don't know if they did that maybe to appeal to newer players. Like, as I said, I don't really know for a fact. But either way, this game's quite easy to get an S rank. And the freebies definitely help to make this game quite simple as well. The timer, I think, is a bit lenient as well. I don't think it's a bad thing that this game's quite simple and easy. I don't think that's bad whatsoever. But if you're looking for a bit of a challenge, you're not really going to get it from this game. But as I mentioned, it's not a bad thing whatsoever, because this game's supposed to be fun, alright? And you don't have to worry about lighting that campfire like you did in We Love Katamari. This game does contain references to past Katamari games, which is wonderful, such as the 1 million red roses level from We Love Katamari. Thankfully, this game does not have that level. You do roll up roses, but nowhere near 1 million, and there is a reference to it, as well as other Katamari games as well, so that's great. In terms of collectibles, this game does have 3 collectibles, the standard cousins and royal presents, and this game has crowns. The cousins work just like past Katamari games. Some levels have 1, some have 2, some have 3, and you have to play through the levels multiple times in order to unlock all the cousins. The cousin only spawns, like your second and third cousins only spawn if you collect the previous one. So as I mentioned earlier, you do have to replay some levels 2 or 3 times to collect all the cousins. The crowns you can get on first playthrough, and the royal presents, does one per level. The aforementioned GPS power-up does show you where the cousins, royal presents, and crowns are. And in this game, there are 3 crowns per level, and all the trophies you might notice are tied to collecting crowns, but 2 of the levels, called Tag You're It, requires you to unlock all the cousins or to collect all the cousins. So if you want to get the platinum trophy for this game, as I did, you have to collect all the cousins and all the crowns. The royal presents are optional, and this game even introduces a new challenges mechanic where they want you to replay each level and roll up a certain number of items to complete the challenge. So in order to 100% complete this game, you have to collect all 3 crowns in each level, collect all the cousins, either 1, 2, or 3 per level, collect each royal present, and then complete all 3 challenges, which is going to require at least 3 playthroughs of every single level. You also get like a king's token, which you can use to unlock random expressions for the prince. So there's plenty of stuff to do in this game if you're looking forward to it. I collected all the cousins, and I collected all the crowns, and I also got the platinum trophy as well. I do think I got all the royal presents. I may have missed 1 or 2, but I tried to collect all the royal presents as I could. Of course, I prioritized the cousins and crowns. But as I mentioned, the cousins and royal presents are from previous games. The crowns are unique to this game, and you don't really have to go out of your way to get the crowns that much. I mean, they're just sort of there. You will miss a few along the way because sometimes you do have to kind of go out of your way to get them. But as I mentioned, the collectibles are pretty fun in this game. Of course, seeing all the different cousins and the different designs and how quirky they can be is always really, really interesting. I really do love the cousins in the Katamari games. I think they're so interesting, they're so quirky. And you do get to see the cousins running around in each of the time periods, the respective ones that you collected them in. And of course, you do get to have 2 special levels in which you just roll up all of your cousins, so that's always awesome. And if anybody's wondering, my favorite cousin is Jungle because he has the most interesting design, but I'm also a big Ichigo fan as well. And this game does introduce a couple of new cousins as well, so be sure to get them if you see them. I also love seeing the Queen of all Cosmos get showcased quite heavily in the cutscenes. After you finish your first level in each era, you get to see a cutscene of the Queen interacting with the cousins, and I think it's great to see how much of a showcase she gets, because she's genuinely a caring person. The King, it depends, but it's great to see the Queen get a huge showcase. Overall, I love Once Upon a Katamari. Similarly to Katamari Damacy and We Love Katamari, I honestly think this game is on par with We Love Katamari. I think it's fantastic. I'm so glad that this game exists, and I don't know if we're going to get another Katamari game in the near future, but I hope we do. And maybe a remake would be cool too, I don't know. But either way, Once Upon a Katamari is a fantastic game. I have some minor, very, very minor gripes about this game, but overall, I think this is a 9 out of 10. Let the good times roll, I guess.